All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 1 of whatever the heck this is. Um, so I don't write enough. I'm a writer with many, many stories, but I just never put the pen to the paper. And there's a lot of reasons for that, but because I find it easier to talk and ramble about my ideas than actually work on writing them, I thought maybe I should just sit down and record myself rambling. So then I at least am putting up something. Um, I actually don't know what I'm going to talk about yet today. I do know that I want to draw while I am talking. And I don't even know what I'm going to draw. That's wonderful. Um, hmm. So, I know I want to work on drawing Akane, my character from Naruto. It's weird nowadays because it has a lot of my writing, a lot of my ideas initially started from fan fiction. I've always loved creating characters to put into content that already exists, and then I start to develop them into their own unique people that I can then make original stories from. And it works in a way because I'm very, very good at world building. I'm very, very good at creating my own universes, my own whatever, with their rules and history and politics. But then I have trouble creating characters that fit into these narratives. But when I'm given a backstory, I'm given a setting, I can create people to go alongside the pre-existing stuff. So it sort of becomes a matter of I just hobschlob characters and backstories from my fan fictions together with the infinitely expanding worlds that I have in my head. So yes, Akane is a Naruto OC who is spawned from another OC who was spawned from another OC. And basically, I just love the idea of drawing her because she's got a lot more like fashion and style and whatnot going on than pretty much any of my other characters. That said, you never know. I could end up drawing something else. I probably should have picked something before I started this though. Um I guess if I'm going to talk about anything, maybe. Well, I really didn't plan this at all. It's the first episode. I'll get used to it. Let's start with Akane. Yeah, let's start with Akane. So, I'm gonna pick a nice color to let's figure out what brush I want to use for sketching. Shut up. Okay, so I'm mostly gonna focus on just sketch drawing. I'm not gonna do anything fancy tonight. Drop that size down. Akane is let's disregard her origin. Let's disregard the whole Naruto OC thing, because again, most of my characters end up being that I create for fandom end up becoming characters for their own original story anyways, and that's the thing. I have an entire world built anyways around these characters, and I use the Naruto world as sort of a jumping off point. What am I doing? So, Akane is a vampire, and it is not because she was born from a family of vampires or she was transformed by one. It's in relation to a lot of trauma that her mother went through. Her mother, I won't get into the full details at this juncture, but effectively, her mother's family were a bunch of a bunch of cultists, and her father underwent, put her mother, Sasama, through a lot of suffering and hardships, and eventually, when Sasama became pregnant, she killed her father, killed a lot of her relatives, attempting to protect this child from a lot of curses, completely unrelated to the cultists. Basically, Sasama's whole thing is just a lot of trauma and the whatnot. But Sasama became pregnant with Akane through a sort of cultist, ritually gang rape type situation, and Akane is effectively the daughter of the cultist god, and not in a figurative sense, in an actual sense. Her, biological, spiritual spectrum, whatever, makeup is that of being this demon god's child. So this is where her vampirism comes in. She's basically sort of meant to be this antichrist that the intention was she would inherit her mother Sasama's curses, and go on a hell spree across the world, sucking blood and destroying innocent lives. But that doesn't happen because Sasama removes them from the cultist's influence. Never start with the head. Never start with the head. That's something I've been working on when I'm drawing, is to not start at the top, because then you don't realize it until later down the line, but you've limited yourself in what you can do with the rest of the body, especially if you're struggling to draw like me. So Akane, she isn't kept her mother doesn't hide from her what she is. She tries to be gentle about explaining how she came to be and whatnot, but Sasama is very, very open with her daughter about, you're basic. I don't know what their intentions for you were, but you're not entirely human, probably, but I still love you and I'm gonna take care of you. And ultimately, because of Sasama being a good mother to her, Akane never develops any kind of bloodthirsty, murderous, killing spree feelings as was intended for her when she was created, when the idea of her was created. This doesn't exactly this doesn't exactly make the demon god happy, but there's not much he can do at that juncture with Sasama protecting Akane. The big thing is ultimately Akane grows up being this very happy, very bright child who struggles a bit at socializing because she naturally comes off very creepy, but luckily the people around her are very kind, very willing to work with her, play with her, teach her things. She doesn't come into her vampirism until she begins to hit puberty, which is a major change that affects her and her upbringing. Again, Suzawa didn't exactly know what was, what Akane was, what she was going to become, and wasn't really expecting that. But she took it in stride. She was like, okay, well, we'll figure this out. So, one of the big things about Akane's character arc is she misses character motivations. She loves the sun. She loves being out in the sun, out in the sunlight. And then this, puberty monster shit happens, and at this point I'm not really drawing anybody. I'm just drawing legs and torsos because I don't actually want to draw now. So Akane's biggest dream is to be able to walk in the sun again, but the sunlight burns her. Traditional vampire whatnot of not being able to go out in sunlight, needs to drink blood. It's really traumatic when she's starting to transform, because it's just, one day she's out in the sun and having fun, playing like a kid does, and then suddenly just her whole world is on fire and it hurts, and it's honestly the worst thing ever. So she misses the sunlight and whatnot. And this becomes a big deal when she gets older, because ultimately she wants to be a model. She likes fashion. She likes pictures and photography, and she loves the way people look when they're all dressed up and have makeup on, and all the special pouty faces people make for the camera. She just loves it. But it's not just sunlight. It is very bright artificial light. And really, lighting is crucial to photography, to, being able to be a model. You have to be under the light so that good pictures can be taken. But she can't do that. It would kill her, and it sucks. And she's always trying to find ways to get around it, and nothing works. Big hips. big hips. Big hips. Big hips. Okay. So ultimately, she ends up going into fashion design and photography and whatnot, because at least when she's behind the camera, she can somewhat shade herself. Still, design ends up being more safer for her. What ultimately kicks her into doing design actually is because of her vampirism, she can do things like she has transformative powers. One of the big things about Akane's time period, it's after like her parents have gone through this whole big battle with ancient gods and whatnot that ultimately changed the landscape of, of the entire world. And a lot of old god type things are starting to come back because everything's just more magical, and the line between the different planes is weaker and whatnot. So people start seeing more of these like weird looking deer gods and giant wolf creatures, nymphs, all sorts of creatures, basically. And the big thing about that is she finds herself able to transform into these kinds of creatures. So she ends up wandering around the woods at night, interacting with them, because she can't interact with people a lot because people are asleep when she's able to come out. And it ends up becoming a very big inspiration for her fashion and whatnot, because she starts designing clothes based around these old god type creatures, and the kind of stuff that you don't actually wear in day to day. It just shows up in fashion magazines. It's just really weird, creepy looking stuff. And fuck if I know. I have no idea what I'm drawing anymore. See, this is what happens when I'm just left to ramble and not really have a sense of direction. I think that might be a good stopping off point. I've basically given you a summary. I've given you an overview of Akane. And I think going in later tonight, I'm going to record some more episodes, each of them being sort of a surface scratch of different characters, both fandom and original. And we'll just go from there. I hope you enjoyed. Hope that this recorded. And thanks for bothering to listen, I guess. Bye.